Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of PGA-DFS with Scout Fantasy Sports. This week we are going to Pebble Beach, California, and we're taking on the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. I am Alex White, and I am with Mark Ferris. How we doing, Mark?
Doing good. I'm in a different place again, but some of my picks have been so bad I keep moving so none of y'all can find me.
It's a superstition thing. You know, one of these times, if you win big this week, we're doing it in your office every week, right?
Gotta stay here every week then.
All right. Well, let's get started. So Mark, any good news from last week? Any takeaways? Anything you want to mention before we get into the fun stuff?
No, actually didn't even break even last week. But one thing that I did make a point using myself was the fact that I kept telling everybody don't get overly excited or overly disappointed by the first day on Thursday. And after Thursday's round, I was in second place in a winner take all for $3,000, only trailing by half a point. That same lineup, because one guy came back into the cut and the other guy missed the cut, I ended up finishing 86th. So, you know, where I was looking at, started counting my $3,000 at the end of Thursday's round, nothing came out of it. So, you know, that's again, don't get overly excited and don't get overly disappointed by Thursday's round.
Yep, having that short-term memory. You called Brandon Grace a couple weeks ago. He missed the cut, and then he comes back the week after, and he ties for second, just like Adam Scott a couple weeks prior to that. So if you have a short-term memory, guys, golf is really very volatile. Let's get started. Pro-Am at Pebble Beach this week. There are 3 different courses. So, again, that's going to move our cut line to a 54-hole cut line. So that's going to be on Saturday instead of our normal Friday. So again, we're looking for people that can score because you're going to get 3 days of guaranteed golf no matter what. There will be 3 different courses. Our first course is Pebble Beach Golf Links. All of the courses are going to be under 7,000 yards. Pebble Beach is a par 72 with Poa-annua greens. Very tight fairways, so we want accurate drivers this week. Not a bomb and gouge. You know, we've had a lot of over 7,000 yard courses previous weeks. This week, it's going to be kind of your short knockers. Put it in the fairway, get it on the green, and be good around the greens. That's what I'm looking for this week. Scoring average on this course is a little over 72. It's like 72.7. And then we have Spyglass. That'll be played as well. That is a little bit harder than Pebble Beach. The scoring average there is 72.5. And then we have Monterey Peninsula, which is the easiest of the courses. That is a par 71. The other 2 are par 72s. This one is a par 71. Pebble Beach will be played 2 rounds. So if they make the cut on Sunday, that will be the course played on Sunday. Anything else you want to touch on with our courses, Mark?
No, just I always thought in the past that Spyglass was the easiest. But I think that's because a lot of times you see the weather can change at the Monterey Peninsula on a dime. And Spyglass is the one, if the wind kicks up, that is most protected from the wind. So sometimes it appears to play easier because of the weather conditions, even though it is the harder course. The other thing that might make Pebble Beach Golf Links a little more difficult this week than normally in the past is in about, when is the June? When the U.S. Open is played in June, that's where it is. So they're probably growing the rough up a little bit more than they usually do. So it could be a little bit more difficult if you stray from the fairway, even though it's a short course.
Yeah, I've heard that. The rough should be a little bit taller. They started kind of tightening the fairways as well to make it play a little bit more difficult to that major type venue. So, I mean, really, every golfer is going to play it, so there's no real advantage to that. One thing to check on this week, as Mark mentioned, is weather. This course, since it's on a coastline, can definitely get windy. And they've already shown like a video of RCB, Rafe Cabrera putting in like an inch thick of water. It's been getting hammered with rain. So, I mean, you know, me and Mark don't really target tee times necessarily. We've had this discussion before, but we do like to look for golfers that are better on the wind.
Yeah, a good example there is Brent Snedeker. I think we discussed this a couple of weeks ago. I think this was the course where he shot the incredible round. I think when the tournament actually had to move to a Monday finish because of it. And where everybody else was shooting over par, he shot 2 or 3 under and ended up winning the tournament.
That is correct. He's got a good history here. We'll talk about him more later. So
absolutely.
Let's start breaking down this 10K and up range, so we have some really good golfers. What do you think, starting with Matt Kuchar at 10K all the way up to Dustin Johnson at the top of our list? Who do you like in the top range?
Well, historically, I mean, Dustin Johnson, you can't argue with his record here. He's always been a bridesmaid. He's never won it, but he's always right there. So he's probably going to be, I hesitate to say chalk because he's so expensive, and trying to get more than one top-end guy in there with him is going to be difficult. Same thing with Jason Day. Both of them have good course history here, and both of them like to play this course. So, out of those two, I'd say they're probably going to be some favorites. My favorite, actually, in the ones above 10,000 is actually Tommy Fleetwood. My only hesitation with Tommy is this is his first tournament on U.S. soil this year. And probably in quite some time. So his game travels well. I don't feel that he's not going to make the cut. But out of those guys right now, my favorite out of those five would probably be him.
All right. I would say that's a hot take. I think people will be a little bit afraid to play Tommy, but I do like his game here. He's really accurate off the tee. He's got good around the green game. If he gets that putter rolling, I think he can definitely be in contention. He travels well. He's a people person. And since this is a pro-am, you're going to be with a partner most of the time. So if he stays friendly and kind of manage that slow play at this tournament, I think he'll be an excellent call this week. Personally, I'm leaning towards Dustin Johnson. I mean, it's just hard. He won last week, across seas. I don't know if that, some people are always talking about that winning hangover, but Dustin Johnson, I don't think he likes to be number 3 in the world. I think he was pretty comfortable at number 1. So back-to-back wins will definitely vault him up. It won't put him in front of Justin Rose, but it'll definitely put him in that number 2 spot. And then once he goes out and wins a major this year, he's going to take that number 1 spot back. I love Dustin Johnson. I love Jason Day, but they're just too proven. I mean, everybody's going to be on those two. But if I'm not starting my builds with those two, I'd like Tommy Fleetwood as well this week at a discounted ownership.
Another one I like in the 9,000 above range is Paul Casey. He's another one. It's just a steady game, and he travels well. I think he'll be able to handle these 3 courses well. Like you said, it's a pro-am, and you are playing with an amateur, so you got to be a people person. So probably in that group, the one that bothers me the most, although I think he's got a great game, is Patrick Reed. I don't know how well he plays with others.
Yeah, I'm struggling with Patrick this week. He did not play great overseas last week, but he's got good course history. He was cut last year. I kind of think that was a little bit of an anomaly. He's really good around the greens, and with these being a lot of raised greens at this course, I feel like he's got an advantage there. But I mean, it's not like he doesn't play in pro-ams or he hasn't before.
Right.
He's given that villain tag. He's not a bad guy. He's not like going out there and being an a-hole, to his partner. I'm sure he's having a good time. I mean, he even gave Jordan Spieth a hug, before they were around when they were paired together a couple weeks ago. Like, he's trying to make it work.
I think Jordan instigated that, but still, he did hug him back. So there's something to say about that. But that brings us to another point. I think Jordan Spieth, even as bad as he's played, I mean, last week was a little better, or not last week, 2 weeks ago was a little better. I think he'll play well here. He typically does. So I'm not opposed to using him either.
Yeah. So what do you think about Kuchar? He's having a phenomenal start to the season. He's going vastly overlooked. I seriously have not heard his name mentioned, which is just crazy, considering how well he's played. He has 2 wins, a 4th place. He kind of had a little meltdown on Sunday. He could have easily took over that 1st place, and Ricky almost had a botch job with that water hole going 3 over. But he doesn't have a great course history, but he's such an accurate driver, and he's good at approach shots, and he's good around the green. I don't understand why this course hasn't fit him. Any thoughts on Kuchar?
I like Matt. I mean, the thing that if you look at Matt Kuchar, Patrick Cantlay, and Tommy Fleetwood, they're all packed there together. And I think, like, even with Tommy Fleetwood, which we discussed there a few minutes ago, you're saving $1,100 between his price and Dustin Johnson, even though I know Dustin Johnson has to be the odds-on favorite to win this thing, and everybody's going to be rooting for him. You know, when you're playing DFS, sometimes that $1,000 can come in handy elsewhere.
Yes, especially this week, I think. It's a little bit tighter. When you get down there, there's some really ugly names that you're definitely going to cringe when you put in into your lineup if you're paying up for DJ. So let's try to break down these lower ranges so we can pay up for these big guys. Anything under that 10K range, really trying to target, let's say 8,000 all the way up to 99.
All right. Well, there's several guys in there. Rafa Cabrera-Bello is one. I mean, the guy travels well. He's solid. You have, you said from 8,000 up, you have Brett Snedeker in there. You have Cameron Champ in there. I loved Jason Kokrak, but he's withdrawn. Jason Kokrak at 8,500 would have been great, but for some reason, there's been several guys withdraw here. We've probably had 5 or 6 that I think that I've seen on the DraftKings site now that are no longer available. But other than those guys, you also have Sung J M, and like you said, Brandon Grace is there again. And coming off of last week, even though I know he didn't win, he has to take a lot away from the way he played on Sunday when everybody else was going backwards. He was going forward.
Yeah, I agree, especially with the Sung J M call. I love Grace. I think Lowry's, you know, he's got a decent course history here. He's coming off a win a couple weeks ago. In great form. I do not like RCB this week. Even though he had a, top 23, he putted so well. And he normally puts well. He's a good putter. He's just not a great driver of the ball. And I feel like that luck might run out. And I'm not saying he's going to miss the cuts, but I don't think he's going to pay off his 8,300 price tag. There's a lot of names around there that I think are worth paying for. I honestly think Matthew Fitzpatrick is a good call this week.
I agree with that.
He's going to go way overlooked, but he's a good talent, and he's just consistent. He puts the ball in the fairway, and, I mean, he's got really good approach. If he can get on these greens, I think he can start off pretty hot, and I think he'd be an excellent pivot off your Sung J M and your RCB this week. I think Fitzpatrick is a solid option this week. So I guess I'm going Euros because I have Fitzpatrick, I have Lowry, and I have Grace. And those are pretty much my favorite. And Snedeker, I mean, he's not really European. I mean, he is, but he's more American now. He plays more American PGA Tour than anything else. So I'd say those are my top 4 in that range.
If the wind kicks up, who plays the wind better than the Euros? So
maybe that's why I'm gearing myself towards that, because it is going to be windy this week, guys. But it's only Tuesday. Weather can change. So try to find like a website you can trust. And I like Wind Tracker. Try to find like the nearest wind tower to Pebble Beach. Just type in that location, and it should give you a good estimate of what it's going to be like Thursday and Friday. And remember, since the cut is moving to Saturday, it's worth looking Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the winds.
And remember the cut is top 60 instead of top 70 as well.
Yes. I would have forgotten to mention that. That's in my article, but yes, absolutely. That's important. It is top 60, so not top 70. So you're sweating a little bit different this week. But like you said, you get that whole extra day of golf, so you can easily cash and win some money with 5 or 6 this week.
Yeah, the only thing that I like more about RCB is the fact that in his last 13 events, he's got 9 top 20s. So, his form's there.
He's a phenomenal.
Like you said, huh? But, well, like you said, maybe it won't work, but I don't, like I'm like you. I don't expect him to miss the cut, but I don't expect him to win it either.
Yeah, I mean, he's a phenomenal golfer. Don't get me wrong. I think that putting can only last so long. We kind of saw that last week when everybody jumped on that Joel Dahman train. His approaches were way off the week prior. That's what he's been known for, but he putted really well to kind of keep him in contention. And then he came out and he couldn't putt and he couldn't approach, and he shoots +4, and everybody's upset at 30% ownership in cash. And then I'm beating myself up like I knew this was going to happen, and yet I still play him. So I'm kind of taking that approach with RCB. I know they're in 2 different categories. RCB is way better than Joel Dahman is. But He's just not my pick this week. I'm paying up for Shez again this week at 9,000. I think he's a phenomenal play. He's a box checker. He hits pretty much every stat I'm looking for this week. Good off the tee, good approach, good putting, good around the green. Tied for second or last year, tied for second. He's coming off T4, so he's in great form. He's a good win player. He putts well in POA. I don't see where he goes wrong. I don't necessarily think he's going to be top 5 again, but I could see another top 10 performance from Shez.
Yeah, and again, you bring up a good point there. I mean, these guys, it can change in an instant. These guys have good course history. They have good current form. They have good statistics, and then something just blows up. So, we can make all the predictions we want, and based on all these statistics, we're giving you the best options that we see based on what we know. And there's certain things you just don't control. Well, there's more variance in golf probably than any other DFS sport out there.
I agree. Russell Knox, 8,100. Anybody?
I like Russell. That's assuming Russell's current form is continuing. Russell has a tendency to recede every now and then. But the way he's playing, I like Russell Knox.
Yeah, and one thing I like, I talked about this last week. I like when people kind of carry over their momentum. He had a good week, but he really impressed me on Sunday when the weather got nasty. And he shot a bogey-free round. He only shot 2 under. He didn't have like a huge or great round, but he was on the NBC Sports Gold, so I tracked him and watched his game all day. And he played great golf, man. He definitely got himself into my top probably 15 plays this week. Based on that Sunday round. And he's got decent course history here. He's good at putting the ball in the fairway. So I like Russell Knox. Let's talk about Spieth for just a moment. I know last time we talked about him, we faded him. He didn't necessarily reach value then, but he didn't play bad. Are you jumping on the Spieth train this week?
I will probably have more Jordan Spieth this week than I've had any other week. Again, the last time he played well, but he really played well the first day. The next 3 days, he kind of even parted. So you kind of saw shades of Justin for the first round, but then he just went away. Again, it's one of those things. Justin likes this course. Comfort level on courses can bring you back. So this could be the weekend he comes back. Don't be surprised if Justin or Jordan Spieth's top 5 going into Sunday. Also, don't be surprised if Jordan Spieth's top 30. I think he'll make the cut, but where he finishes after that, I don't even want to try to predict. But he does score. He will make birdies and he'll make some bogeys too, but he'll make usually more birdies than bogeys, so you can get some points out of him.
Yeah, I will be firing at Spieth a little bit more. He proved a little bit to me, but that round 1, that was at the easiest course, and then
right.
That was the North course, I believe, at Torrey. And then he moved to the South, and he shot even par at a more challenging course. So
right.
He's got the ability to go low and put birdies in bunches. I'll definitely play him more this week, but he's not in my core by any means. One other bounce-back candidate this week would be Phil. He destroyed a bunch of lineups last week. And it was more of an anomaly again. He lost strokes around the greens, and that's normally what we know Phil for. I don't think he does that back-to-back weeks, but I also think it's going to lower his ownership, what he did to people last week. Are you going to hop back on? I like Phil a lot this week before, you say anything. I think he's, the type that's like, golf is volatile. I understand. Okay, I had a bad week, and let's get back to the fun. I'm in a beautiful Pebble Beach. Probably going to take my family out here. I'm sure he's got a home somewhere out there. He's got a home at every course now.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. So he's just going to have fun with it, and I think he's going to rock it again. Phil's a heck of a scorer, and he's so fun to watch. If he's in contention, he's just a blast. And you'll probably get a chance to watch him on Sunday. He'll be in one of the final rounds or final groupings. Phil's solid.
Yeah, you're right. The thing about Phil is if it's in California, Phil plays well. I was surprised he played as poorly as he did in the second round in Phoenix. And, I don't know what that was. I mean, it could be one of those things where he got started going bad and couldn't stop it. But the other thing about Phil, like you said, he scores. And when you're guaranteed 3 rounds of fill, you're going to get points. So even if for some odd reason he doesn't make the cut on Sunday, he could still score more in 3 days than some of the guys you have below him that would score in 4 days.
Yes. Yep. Plain and simple, Phil is great at golf. And he's going to have a comeback. I was kind of looking through, like, when he misses cut in the following week. Most of the time, he rattles off the top 20 that next week. He's got a short-term memory, just like we need to have. So don't be hesitant to fire up Phil again this week. All right, let's go into that 7K range. We got a bunch of names in the 7 to 8K range. Just highlight some of your favorites. Kind of, let's say, give me 4 or 5 of your favorite, like, safer plays and a couple just darts that you love in that 7K range, but you won't have a ton of exposure to.
So what are we looking at, from 7 to 75, or?
Let's just, yeah, it's so big. Let's do.
It's huge.
74 and up. Let's do that.
74 and up.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew Putnam, I'll go back to him again. He burned me last week. He was one of the guys I had in that lineup, shot 2 under the first day and then turned around, shot 6 over the next. Of course, Phil did the same thing. So, it wasn't that bad, but it was bad. Right below him at 7,800 is playing extremely well. And he's kind of a West Coast guy. So I would stick with Scott Piercy. After that, I also like Russell Henley. And I'm trying to look at my list here. Pat Perez, for me, is somebody that I may go back to. He burned me. He hasn't played well in 2 weeks. I'm not sure the risk or whatever the problem is good. But he did. I think did he make the cut last week, or did he not? I don't think he did he?
I'm sorry, who was that?
Pat Perez did not make the cut last week.
He did not.
No, he did not. So, maybe. I might go back to him. Couple of flyers that I have in there. JJ Spawn, I think he should start playing well again. So I'm willing to go back to JJ Spawn. Another guy that's playing well that nobody ever listens to. He hasn't been around for a while. He's been around, but he just hasn't been anywhere for anybody paying attention to, is Nick Watney. Nick's playing well. So he could be a flyer in that $7,000 or $7,400 to $8,000 group.
Yeah. He's a great driver of the golf ball, very accurate off the tee, and he's got some good distance. I like Watney. That's a good call. Piercy's playing well. Had another good scoring week. He scored a lot better than his finishing position, so don't always look at the finishing position if you're doing, like, game log checking. Kind of scroll over and see how many birdies they made compared to bogeys, because, I think he had 2 separate rounds where he strung 3 birdies in a row and got that bonus.
The bonus.
Yeah, that's huge, especially with the given guaranteed 3 rounds. Scott Piercy might miss the cut on Sunday, but score enough to help his cap. So I think that's a great call. I like, and this is kind of off the wall, and he'll definitely be low owned. I'm feeling a little Kevin Kisner resurgence this week. He's very, very accurate, and I look at corollary courses as part of it, so courses that kind of fit the same mold, based on, the type of green, the length, the par, for par 71, par 72, par 70, and those 2 courses for me are the RSM and RBC Heritage, and he's had top 10s at Heritage a few separate times. At this course 2 years ago, he was top 10. He's been very sluggish in 2018. It was an off year, but he's put together a few putts, and I just think he's going to go drastically overlooked. A couple of years ago, Kiz was pretty much a cash game lock if you played DFS golf. He was consistent, just rattling off top 25s. Slowly became one of my, he's almost like a Chez Reavie type golfer. Like, oh crap, yeah, Kiz is in the field this week. Let's put him in cash. Right. So I like Kiz this week as kind of an under-the-radar play. Also in that 7K range, nobody's talking about Ted Potter. I don't necessarily think he's going to go off and win again. But I was looking at ownership projections, and he's at 3%. And if he won this tournament, he obviously likes the course. I don't care if he strung 4 really good rounds together. He's actually had a good history at Heritage as well, and then played pretty well at the RSM. So he hits those corollary courses. and he won here last year. If he's going to be 3%, I'll definitely throw Potter into some GPPs. Any interest in Molinax after another good week off the tee? He's shown decent history at this course. What do you think about Trey? He scored very well last week and just hammered the ball off the tee.
Yeah, I may sprinkle him in here and there. I mean, Doc liked him last week, and honestly, I should have listened to Doc because I didn't like him near as much. But he, after third day, he was near the top. Two other players. Now, get your opinion on these two. Is Austin Cook and Doug Gim. Doug Gim, he kind of bounces back and forth between this tour and the web.com.
Seaweed Doug, I think that's his nickname, Seaweed Doug. I don't know why, but that's what people call him. He's good off the tee. I need to see more. He kind of needs to string together what Sungjae Im's doing before I back him. Austin Cook, though, has proven more to me than a Doug Gim has. I'm not saying don't play Doug Gim. He might be a GPP dart, but I won't have him probably in a single lineup this week. I will have Austin Cook. He's actually won the RSM, so he's actually fits into that corollary course I was talking about. So, you know what? He burned a ton of people at 7,900 last week. He has a $600 decrease in price. Haven't heard his name mentioned one time. I will throw him in a couple dollar lineups for sure.
Okay. I just was curious because I saw he was playing web.com last week after he played the tour the week before. There's one other guy, and I'm throwing him out there just because experience matters sometimes. It's $7,000, Jim Furyk.
He's really good off the tee, too. He kind of put the ball in the fairway, you know that. I think that's kind of he almost has a safety built into him to make the cut. I mean, he really does. He's not a great scorer, but if you want somebody to play on Sunday, and like make sure you get 6 to 6, I think Furyk has a really good chance to be that person for you. I don't get super high on people that don't score great, but I mean, Furyk might be a decent call. I haven't really done a ton of research on him this week. He's just kind of hasn't been on my radar, so I might look a little bit more into him. So that kind of plugs me in. If you have questions, later on the week, find me at Coach White DFS on Twitter for any questions. Like I said, I'm an open book, guys. Feel free to direct message me or just tweet at me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And then Mark always talks about reaching out to him on Slack chats on the Scout Fantasy sites. So make sure you're reaching out to Mark on Slack chats. One other person you mentioned last week who had a good week was Martin Laird. I think he fits this course well. He plays really good on coastal courses. This is his time of year. And at that range, everybody's talking about like Corey Connors. A lot of people like Spawn, Vaughn Taylor even. I think Martin Laird's a good call this week.
I love Martin Laird. He's right down there around Jimmy Walker too, and a lot of people are touting Jimmy Walker. I like Jimmy Walker as a golfer, but I don't think Jimmy's ever fully recovered from his episode with Lyme disease. I don't know if it's still a lingering effect or what, but I haven't seen his game the same since.
Yeah, I agree. Because, Jimmy Walker was rattling off just insane numbers, like back just week after week. And then it's like, what happened? Okay, Lyme disease, yeah, give him, a couple months after it. I thought he would get his game back.
Yeah.
He's not the same golfer. With that being said, though, even after that Lyme disease, last year he rattled off a T8 year. So he loves this course. Just playing
he used to be a plug and play. You're right. I mean, but again, there's certain courses that fit certain guys, and if it fits, put him in.
Yep. At the same range to pivot, I would probably pivot to Hadley as a lower ownership instead of Jimmy Walker. Great score. He had a couple hole-out eagles last week. So his approach shots, obviously, if you're putting a hole, if you're getting a 2 on a par 4, you're either putting well. He actually did get one on 17, a drivable par 4, but he had like an 80-foot putt to get it in. But he also had a jarring, like just deep 140-yard shot that just sunk into the hole. So, if his approaches are going to be that good, I'm willing to take a dart on Chesson Hadley as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who that was again, because on my end you broke up when you said the name, so I didn't know if that would break up on the live stream or not.
Yeah, when you broke up for Scott Piercy, if people didn't hear that, at 7,800, Mark does like Scott Piercy.
Yes.
And 71, I like Chesson Hadley. If you guys missed that, those are two plays that we are on as well. All right. Anything under that 7K range you want to target?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys. I didn't look at a whole lot of them, but actually, there's a site that I use for some statistical analysis. I don't do as much, but a lot of times I'll take the thing it's set up and I can plug in current form and what percentage I want to add to that, or current course history. And those are the two things I look at more. But when I plug those in, one guy comes up in the top 15, and that's Scott Brown at $6,900. I haven't seen much out of him, but for some reason, when I plug him into the current form and course history, it generates his name. Now he's 15th out of the top 15, but at $6,900, is he worth a shot? The other guys below there, I do like more than anybody probably is Brian Gay. I think Brian Gay's underpriced. And I also think Cameron Davis is underpriced. They're both in the $6,600, $6,800 range. So, those are two guys that I think you can get 3 solid days out of, even if they don't make the cut. They're 3 solid days, and it allows you to get some higher priced guys because they're so low.
Yeah, Brian Gay is a heck of a putter. I liked him last week. He made the cut. Didn't have a great weekend. He really didn't. His approaches aren't as crisp as they were last year. But like Mark said, any given week, things can just click. And then you can see Brian Gay's name, in that top 15 and be like, oh, yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. Scott Brown, he plays well. He plays better on short courses, so I could definitely see that narrative fitting him. In the same range, like 68, let's see, I like Graham McDowell. He plays good on coastal courses.
He's on my list too.
And, if we're talking about heavier winds, he's better in the winds than other golfers. He gained stroke there. He actually is better on POA greens than any other course, so he's kind of fitting my mold as far as a cheap golfer. And then Sung Kang at 7,000 is kind of popping in my model. Really good at approach shots. Has rattled off, I think, 3 top 25s in his past 6 tournaments. He goes top 25, and he's 118th, and then he's 28th, and then 120th, and then comes down to 19th. And you're he's a hit and miss golfer, but he's really good off the tee, and his approaches are solid. So this course fits him pretty well. He is popping as a dart as well.
And he's a model of consistency. The other one that I would like to mention, and I'm not saying that I'm going to have him in a lot of lineups, but we've mentioned him in some prior tournaments here on the West Coast, is Dominic Vasselli. He's playing again. He's $6,800, and other than the miscut at the Farmers, this season he's been a 5th, a tie for 33rd, and a tie for 11th. So he's playing well. I mean, other than the miscut at the Farmers. So, he's another low-priced option if you need it.
Yeah, he's got a hot hand. Sometimes you just, even if they're not a great fit, just play the hot hand. It works out. Bazzelli, okay, and anybody else that you're liking? I'm kind of thinking lower in this range. If you mentioned Furix, I'll mention Ernie Els.
Got him on my list too, along with David Love.
He's been playing pretty well overseas, and he's almost had this little resurgence. Got a couple top 25s in his past three tournaments, and he was 13 under after 3 rounds last week, and ended up shooting only a 1 under in the 4th round, and still took a top 12 or something. So he's in good form. I think Ernie Els is a great value at 66. I mean, you saw that Matthew Wolf at 6K just crushed his value last week, making the cut, made a couple of eagles. If Ernie Els, he actually, that's one thing I wanted to mention with Ernie. He's really good at par 5s. And if we're playing a par 72 course, there's 4 par 5s, guys. Even if he's a short knocker, he birdies par 5s. So, I mean, he almost has a safety built in on those holes. And most of these par 5s are reachable. It might not be reachable to him because he's not very long off the tee, but you can pretty much guarantee some birdies for Ernie. So I think he's a decent call at 66. And then
Monterey has 5 par 5s.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah. One of them does. I think it's Monterey.
Monterey's a par 71, so I'd be very surprised if it was that one.
One of them has par. I have to look and see here. Let me double check here. No, Monterey has 5 par 5s and 5 par 3s.
Wow, that is a very unique layout. I did not know that.
Well, whatever it is, but it has 5 par 5s.
Sweet. All right.
So it must only have.
No.
Must have. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's actually one of my stats I'm targeting this week is par 5s gained, and he was up with that stat. And obviously, like Dustin Johnson, because he's become master of the golf ball, is up there. And you got some other higher price names that are in that top range, but he was one of the lower price names that popped on that list. And I was like, oh, yeah, Ernie Els really good at par 5s. That's the next boost I would have never guessed. So I like some Ernie. And
that's the other one I said was Davis, because Davis Love played good at Sony. I mean, these old guys still have game. They might not bomb at 360 off the tee, but I've played golf with enough older guys and they hit it straight down the middle, and I'm in the woods and they still beat me.
And that's really what this game's about. And it's course fit. And these old guys, you're not going to play them at a Torrey Pine South, these very long courses. It just doesn't fit their game. But when you get a course like this where it's under 7,000 yards total and they're par 72s, this is the time to target older guys that would never be on your normal radar. Because just put it in the fairway, put it on the green. And if you miss the green, old guys are pretty good at around the green game, just naturally, because they have so much experience missing greens throughout their career.
Yeah, and I say older guys, but they're my age or just a little bit older, so I can't say a whole lot about it. But
okay, Mark. So, any other darts in that 6K range, or anything else you want to target before we make some lineups?
Just one that might, a couple of them that might be for fun under 6,500. I do like Wyndham Clark down there. Wyndham Clark is, let me see where he is. He is at 6,400. And the other guy that's going to get a lot of hype this week, and you'll probably see a lot of pictures of him, Ho Sung Choi. He's at the same price. Don't watch this guy's finish. It's ugly. But the ball goes where he wants it to go. I saw him play around on the European Tour. I think it was the one in Dubai or wherever they were the week before last. And it's crazy. I mean, his finish is crazy. You think amateur ball. So, yeah, it's an internet sensation, but, as a dart for that price, if you want to have some fun, give him a shot.
Yeah, that's a fun pick. Whoever's his pro-am partner probably have a good time watching him spin around and do these little twirly cues off the tee. And then when he's putting, if a putt that looks like it's over 20 feet going in, you'll see him do 3 spins. And he ends up 10 yards away from where he started putting. He definitely doesn't keep his eye on the ball. Let's say that.
No, his amateur might have a better form swing than him, but I'll guarantee he doesn't have the swing speed.
That's a fact. All right, Mark, let's make some lineups and get out of here.
All right. What are we doing? Am I going first this week or you?
You go right ahead. Last week, guys, our lineups were not great. Both of our lineups had 4 of 6 get through. We just had a couple miss right on the head. 376 was our cash game lineup, and 346.5 is our GPP. So obviously the GPP, we took some chances. We're not always going to hit, guys. Like I said, when we make these lineups, you don't have to play them piece by piece unless you really like the way it lines up. But we're just, it's Mark's pick and my pick. Mark's pick and my pick. They're not always going to be perfect. If I was doing my own lineup, it'd probably be completely different than me and him just alternating picks. Okay? This is for fun. If you want to piece it in, throw it into a dollar lineup, have a blast with it. If it ends up hitting, just split the money with us. That'll be cool.
That's right. You give you our address or our PayPal account later.
All right, Mark. Let's start with cash again, and you go first.
I'm going to go with Ches Reavie. I'm going to steal your pick, I think.
Ches at 9K. Beautiful. I have nothing bad to say about Ches. I'm going to move down to Russell Knox at 8,100 then.
Okay. I'll move back up, and I think I'm going to go with Paul Casey.
We have Reavie, Knox, Casey. I will go down to Kevin Streelman, who I forgot to mention. I don't know why. He's a great course fit. I've been talking about him all year. There's not a better course that fits his game than this one. Last year, he actually won. Him and Larry Fitzgerald won the Pro-Am, so I know that had to be fun.
Yes.
And you actually got to see a little bit of Larry Fitzgerald golf, and they show like highlights, and he was jarring some par threes, man. He had a pretty good approach game.
Larry can play both sports.
Yeah, at a high level.
At a high level.
It'd be fun to be that good at two different things. And I'm sure that's not the only thing he's good at. I'm sure he's a world traveler. I know that. But that would be pretty nice to just walk out there and go win a tournament. He probably made money doing it too. That's the thing. It's for fun. But if you get first, I'm sure he made something.
Oh, I'm sure. But, it was just fun to watch.
Yeah, it's not about the money to him. He's making plenty playing the NFL.
He doesn't need the money.
Nope, not at all. All right, so we have Russell Knox, we have Paul Casey, and we have Chez Reavie. I will go. I like that Nick Watney call. I think he's got a little safety built into him at 7,500. So let me plug him in and then tell you what we have left. Mark, we have got 1 moment. Boom, beautiful. 8,100 available after those 4 golfers are plugged in. 8,150 is our average.
8,100.
Yes, that's our average.
Matthew Fitzpatrick at 86.
All right, 8,600. Matthew Fitzpatrick. That leaves us with 7,900. Oh, geez.
Oh, you got some good ones there.
Yeah, this is not a cash game play. I'm looking at Kiz. I like him at 78. I feel like that's a dangerous call for cash. Right?
You got 4 guys right there good together.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Let's see. After that, I'm gonna go with Kiz. You know what? We have not had a 6-6 make it through, and if I go safe, it's probably going to be the only wrong pick. I'm going to go Kiz. Kiz is making the cut this week.
I'm fine with that.
All right. So that's it, guys. That leaves us with Paul Casey, Matt Fitzpatrick. Oh, actually, that does not fit. I'm wrong. We have 7,700 available. I actually have Coke Rack, who's not playing. So I have to take Kiz out. We have 7,700 available. That will give me Lucas Glover, Russell Henley, Dylan Fratelli, Mullinax. I'm going to go for Telly. Based on Euro player, weather's not going to be great. He's pretty good off the tee, and he's really good around the greens. And if his approaches are off, there's going to be a lot of scrambling done this week. I'm going to go for Telly. I'm not going to buy into the Russell Henley. 1 good week is enough for Russell Henley, and that was last week for him. I don't see it this week. Even though he's decent in the wind, I'm going for Telly over Henley.
Okay. I thought you might drop down to Streelman, but you like to spend most of your money in a cash game, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes, I do. All right, so that gives me Paul Casey, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Dylan Fratelli, Russell Knox, Chez Reavie, and Nick Watney.
Okay.
Those are our plays. All right, let's go to GPP next.
You get to go first this time.
Yes, sir. I will start us off with Mr. Phil Mickelson. I think that everybody takes what he did last week and kind of forgets what he can do week in and week out. Phil.
Okay. I will go with Sung J M.
All right, Sanjay M. I'm going to drop down to the lower range, and I'm going to hit up Mr. Martin Laird.
I like it. Okay, I'm going to go with one that 2 weeks ago you would have never thought I'd pick this guy. Can you guess who that is? Adam Scott.
Really? Adam Scott. Okay. Adam Scott it is. All right. That leaves us with 7,850 total. Well, I can plug in Kisner, so I'm going to plug in Kisner because I couldn't get him into our cash. I'm plugging him in. I got it. Kiz this week. He's like my post and call last week. It's just this almost a safety built in.
And that leaves me with around 79.
79.
What did I have? 79?
Yes, sir. 79.
Okay, we could spend it all. But I think what I'm going to do is drop down and no, I'm not. I'm going to go with JB Holmes.
JB at 79. Hey, he's a scorer. You get guaranteed 3 days with him.
Par fives are definitely reachable with him.
Yeah, that could be an Eagle Fest for Holmes. And I love this lineup. It's great. Let's see if it does something for us. All right, Mark.
Last week.
Anything you want to leave our followers to?
No, just remember what we give you is not what you have to go with. I mean, use your own judgment. If you have a gut feeling, go for it. We're not here to tell you what to play. We're just trying to give you some ideas of what we think's best. And it's up to you. And hopefully we see some green screens next week.
Absolutely, guys. Keep an open mind. Have fun with it. Do not be afraid to take a chance. Remember, this week is accuracy off the tee, so don't be afraid to fire up those older gentlemen. And let's see some green screens. Again, find me at Coach White DFS. Mark, where can they find you?
You can find me you can do on Twitter at Ferris1967 if you want to hit me up there. But I'm always on Slack chat. So if anybody wants to get me there, that's great. You also have some other Scout Army professionals that are in there. Some of the guys that actually run Scout are on there too that can actually give you some advice. And they ask me for advice. So you can get a lot of knowledge that way. And the other thing is make sure you read both of our articles together because it's two different perspectives. And I think you can gain a lot from that, and it'll help you make your decisions.
Well said, Mark. All right, guys. Again, we're with Scout Fantasy. We love what we do. We do it for you. So if you have questions, reach out. Other than that, take it easy.